On April 3rd, 2011, a game was posted on Equestria Daily labeled Luna Game, and it seemed harmless enough, so a few ponies downloaded it, only to quickly realize it was not as they seemed. The beginning of the three games and Luna 5 used Super Pony Beat songs in their soundtracks. However, it is unknown who made the game. The game starts out as you playing as Luna. On a simplistic platform level, you are able to jump around using the arrow keys. But after about 20 seconds of playing, or a few more seconds if you're standing still, the screen cuts into one of the similar image. A Pinkie Pie with zoglified eyes, or an inconspicuous looking apple bloom. At this point, one of four ominous remixes of songs from the show began to play. You realize that the game will will neither close with the escape key nor Alt plus F4. The mouse stays stuck at the bottom of the screen, as well as the game window stays at the on top of every other window. The only way to close the game at this point is to open Task Manager via Control Alt Delete and end the process by navigating to the program using the arrow keys and pressing Enter plus or Alt plus E. Otherwise, the game automatically closes after a while on its own. In the aftermath, when the users looked at the location where they saved the game after it was closed, they could only find multiple pictures depending on the picture the player ended up with the game. The text files labeled "The End is Nigh." The text within the files could also contain one simple phrase: "The end is nigh." At first, most every pony bought that thought the program was kind of some sort of sadistic computer virus in a guise as indie friendship is magic game, but only a while many virus scans it confirmed that it was only just a rather mean prank. The game itself did not modify or delete any files on the user's computer, and only saved screenshots and text documents. When the user downloaded the program to their desktop, deleting all pictures and text documents generated would prove to be quite annoying unless the user were smart enough to keep it in its own folder. On May 30th, 2011, another game was submitted to Equestria Gamely. This game starts out simply as the previous, but more enhanced graphics and improved sprite characters. As you began playing, you are told immediately that you can hold shift to run. After going through the start to notice cracks from gaming from the ground, you go further and the cracks get bigger and bigger until they completely cover the ground, and suddenly a screen cuts out to a globalized image of Pigamina. While white noise is played for about a second, then flashes back to the game. Now the background and the blocks have tinted dark red, and you can move slowly while some disturbing music plays in the background that drives the players mad. At this point, the only thing to do is go forward until you reach a giant chasm in the ground and fall into it. While plummeting, the background fades to black, with Luna eventually fading over, revealing the game over screen of Luna falling. The image used at this point as an edited version of Luna's descent. More creepy music begins playing, and after a moment, the game closes. During this whole time, you are unable to close the game normally, and after the first flash, you are unable to move your mouse, but just like in the first Luna game. The major differences in this game at the first are the considerably improved graphics from that of Luna 2. And that of Luna 2 does not create any extra files that the first one was infamous for. The third installment was released on June 11th, 2011. Once again, you start out as Luna on a very simplistic platform world and looping environment, but this time the forest setting presented the game controls this first time. Luna is able to run to either the left or the right of the screen. She does not, and she does. The screen gets darker, and after a while of running, the background music begins to slow down and distort, slowly continuing until finally static sounds breaking off in the music. The trees are now dark and bloody, and slow, disturbing music begins to play. And every once in a while, listen closely, you can hear ponies chattering in the background. After this part, you will eventually run into a giant gap in the ground, and it is possible to jump over the hole, and will cause a distorted version of Fluttershy yelling, "Come out," to play, and will only happen with the first jump. You can continue running, but You continue running, but the level will keep looping. The player is then forced to fall into a hole in the ground, which will be very distorted. "Love me" from Fluttershy will flashing several randomly while flashing randomly chosen Zoglefied pony images, and then the screen gets back to normal. Luna is lying on the ground, similar to the ground she had been traveling on the whole time. Her legs severed with blood everywhere. After waiting for about 5 seconds, she opens her eyes, and then the screen flashes an extreme close-up of her disfigured face and utters a blood-curdling shriek. The game closes after this. The fourth game was introduced to the community on July 9th of 2011. Once again, you start out as Princess Luna, standing on a nice grassy cliff with a blue sky and some kind of cheerful music playing. Through there, though, there is only one way to go, to jump off the cliff. After you jump down, you hit the ground at a high speed, you are a splat, and the screen turns black. You've met an ill fate happened to you. After that appears on the screen, after a few moments, the game closes. Trying to reopen the game in any way is pointless, but after a few seconds, the game reopens on its own, and it will turn into the background task for a few moments. The words, it didn't have to turn out like this. After a few moments, you don't have to die. After presenting the player a few seconds later, blood splatters across onto the screen while drawing itself madly around the text. "But you're in my world," will roar player. Next, you see Princess Luna in a new setting, shooting down from the top left corner of the screen and hitting the ground. The world is all red, almost appearing as if you're in pony hell. At this point, you have to quickly sprint around and avoid the obstacles in your path before the darkness closing in on the left catches up to you. If you're caught in the darkness, it will flash several creepy images of Pinkie Pie. And one picture similar used from the similar game, Dreamy Rainbow. And then you will see the same thing as you run into the creepy Pinkie Pie at the part. If you do manage to get past all the crazy terrain, you will be forced to jump off a cliff into the red darkness below. Yet only here you have to get sent into the next part. This part is the craziest. It starts out with a Zoglefied image that seems to be glitching out, and then when it goes away, some sort of messed up 8-bit music starts to play. In the background, while bugged up looking blocks appear on the screen. The blocks will randomly change appearance, and the blocks will change appearance even if you don't do anything. All the way to the right is a large wall that you cannot get over. The only choice is to head for higher ground. The higher you get, the darker the screen gets, making it very hard to navigate around the blocks to get to the top where you started. When you go back all the way to the left top layer there and jump over a pillar, a creepy Pinkie Pie appears, standing close by, but disappears very quickly. Going back to the right, the music suddenly gets faster. The blocks start to fade away. Luna is forced to run from the darkness while avoiding the terrain again. If you are able to reach the end and run it into the same creepy Pinkie Pie, and the screen goes black, you hear a heartbeat fade, and in the same iconic image of Pinkamena from Party of One, the heartbeat gets louder, and the image gets lighter until it suddenly cuts to another gory version of the picture with static. The picture goes back and starts fading out again. You hear Pinkie Pie laughing in the background. The game will not let you reopen it. It simply says your fate is already sealed, unless you use a special replay program or delete the file and the game created and the player's C/Windows/temp. The latest game, along with a demo to date, was also posted August 15th, 2011. Just as the previous installments, you begin the game as Luna, and this time you're in Princess Celestia's castle. When you talk to Celestia, she tells you that it would be nice for you to go out and make some friends. After you exit to the right, you move to a grassy area with nice music playing. All 6 of the main cast can be found on the map. Each one has their own problem that you can help with. Depending on who you return the lost item back to, you can play one of the 6 different levels, each with a different item. After you collect 49 of the items on the map, you are able to collect the 50th, which is black and white, and you touch it, and the music stops to a loud thunder. After that, the only thing you can do is continue on the ground. It suddenly disappears from underneath you, and some creepy music starts playing. The screen fades to black. The screen flashes to white, and another image of Nightmare Moon appears. After another flash, Nightmare Moon's glowing eyes open, and the screen goes back to where you almost stopped immediately. but everything is tinted red. After you continue back to the previous area, another creepy song begins to play. The ponies talk to you, say Pinkie Pie is looking for you. When you talk to Pinkie Pie, she tells you she wants to throw you another party. After the screen turns black and the dark item you got before appears. While you were here whispering in the background, the screen goes back to Pinkie Pie. It's going on about the party, and the screen turns black again, and the more whispering, the text, kill her. Well, at the very bottom, the screen goes back to Pinkie Pie, still continuing to talk, and the screen goes black with longer whispering and large words saying, kill her now. And the screen goes back. You see Pinkie Pie asking you if you're feeling okay. The screen goes black again. This time nothing else happens, but the music stops and you hear one more sound effect of cutting noises. And the screen fades back in. You see yourself standing alone with Pinkie Pie, with a red sky behind you. Pinkie Pie has a slash through her, and the words "but why" at the bottom of the screen. After a few moments, the top half of her body begins sliding off, and the game shuts off. A few seconds later, the game opens again with a distorted "Love Me" noise from the Luna 3 game, a disturbing image of Picamina that says, "This isn't over." The game closes shortly after you try to open the game. It says, the past cannot be changed, and closes, unless you use a replay program and delete the file created with C/Windows/temp.